of your Halloween decorations up yet? And you guys got those 9-foot skeletons up?
Not the 9-foot ones. We've got a pirate who's sitting in our living room, and we've got a witch sitting at our kitchen table.
So that would scare the shit out of me. Like, I would come downstairs in the early morning and just wet my pants because I'd forget that the fucking pirate was there. Now, listeners, you're probably going to listen to this closer to Thanksgiving, but for us, Halloween is just around the corner. I might leave my spooky decorations up until Christmas, to be honest, like until I switch over to the Christmas decorations.
So Sam and I got our first holiday decorations. We
Yes.
got a Christmas gnome, like a gnome.
Those are
but
creepy as
we
hell.
dressed it up in a Halloween mask and a machete,
Nice.
and also put a garland for Thanksgiving, and it's holding a pumpkin in its hand.
Yeah.
And then after Halloween, we'll take the mask and the machete off, and I'll just have the garland and the pumpkin. And then after Thanksgiving, we'll take those off, and we'll add a Christmas wreath and a menorah.
I love that you have thought this through. You're like, this is a multi-purpose gnome.
His name is Noel, Holy Noli Bun.
Oh, that's amazing. I look forward to what he'll be wearing the rest of the year. So this I hope this gnome is now a permanent fixture on your doorstep.
Yes, and actually we might add one gnome each year as like a yearly gnome.
Oh my god, I love this idea so
and
much.
they might be like might be small, but like on big important years we might get like a bigger gnome.
Are you guys open to receiving gnomes as a gift?
Maybe. I haven't discussed this with him yet, but I'll get back to you.
Like, will you guys adopt a gnome if given one?
Maybe.
She's like, oh no, all of a sudden everyone.
It begins.
It's like, I'm going to tell all of our friends to get you a gnome as a present.
This is my first gnome that was a gift.
Oh,
isn't it cute?
He is cute. He's got a little heart on his hat. Oh my god.
It's a Valentine's gnome.
Oh my god, so cute.
I am so glad though that you described your gnome on the front porch, because I've seen that picture that you posted, and I'm like, what is that? Is that a Halloween thing? And I didn't want to ask. I'm like, okay, is that a Halloween? What is it? And I'm so glad
creepy as hell.
What it is.
It's creepy as hell.
Like, okay, because I couldn't make it out. I was like, is that a Halloween
bunny
thing?
with a scary teeth, scary eyes, and blood on the chin?
Nice.
Very nice. I had no clue. I was like, okay, it's creepy, whatever it is. Now I'm like, that's what it is. Thank God.
It's a gnome.
Because I had no clue. But I love it. Speaking of that 9-foot skeleton,
I want one so bad, you guys. I want one.
There's one down the road for us where it looks like there's a whole bunch of skeletons attacking a house, which I saw last year. Well, they bought like that big 12-foot one, whichever one from Home Depot or that huge one. But I did see pictures where someone said, what are you going to do with that later? And they showed the skeleton like putting a star on top of a, they have it decorated for Christmas, and he's like putting a star on top of a like 12-foot tree. Like he's helping doing that. It's like, when are you going to use this any other time Halloween? And they were like, I'll show you.
Like that skeleton is going to be my new lawn ornament.
And everything. It's going to be everything.
This is going to be the Valentine's Day skeleton.
I loved it. First time I saw it, we watched it and I went, where can we put it?
We have our usual hodgepodge of things. My Halloween decorating style is things that caught my eye at Target every year. So it really doesn't have any kind of theme. We also have our usual Five Nights at Freddy's inflatables in the front yard. I don't know. I don't remember how much I talked about this last year, Sarah, but having those things is like it's like adopting a pet. Like, you have to be worried about is it raining? Do I need to bring the inflatables inside? Like, did the inflatables fall over? I need to go check the inflatables. Sometimes Foxy's head pops off and I got to go put it back on again.
Thank you.
Well,
I told Sam about that, and so we decided
it's a lot of work. Although they're doing better this year because Chris actually went out and got them some platforms. So they're now sitting on a platform. And so they they seem to be a little more stable than they were last year. So thanks to some good engineering, I think the inflatables might be less of a hassle. But if it starts raining real bad again, like it was a couple weeks ago, then I'm going to have to go out there and like hang them up and make sure they're not getting wet. Cause we did have one get too wet and like the motor busted because it got full of water and we had to we had to replace Bonnie. Bonnie drowned.
Oh, Bonnie.
So, yeah, the inflatables, they stress me out a bit, but the kids love them. So I got to put them out. I got to put them out every year because the kids love it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Feminine Mistake podcast. This is not a podcast about Halloween decorations in November, but I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And returning to the show with us, we have actor, writer, and director Brandon Mitchell. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you. Welcome. Glad to be back.
Welcome back. So aside from talking about Halloween decorations, we're also here to talk about The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which was the movie we watched this month, and this is our second half of our conversation. Before we do that, ordinarily we would talk about what we're watching, but something came across my Twitter feed today, and I wanted to ask you guys about it. Sarah's nervous. You can see she doesn't like it when I spring questions on her. I can see how much she's sweating right now. She's like, "Oh God, it's something you read on Twitter. What is it?" I won't keep you in suspense for too long. So Tammy Faye, it seems like, had a lot of interests, right? She did some puppeteering. She wanted a singing career. Obviously, she was in the televangelist business. So I saw this image on Twitter, and it was a person who was like, "This is my hobby graveyard," and it was like a bunch of tombstones with hobbies that they had taken up and abandoned, and it made me think about all the hobbies that I've taken up and abandoned. And so I was just wondering, just for funsies, if you guys have any hobbies in your hobby graveyard.
That's so funny.
If you guys want to take a minute to think about it, I can tell you some of my hobbies, or if you'd like me to do that first. God, if I don't have enough room in my graveyard for all the hobbies that I've abandoned. Let's see. I went through of course, I crochet, but only for a couple of months out of the year. Or even weeks, like if I'm on a holiday, if I'm on a Christmas break, I've got a blanket I've been working on for 5 years. I did go through a pretty big sewing phase. So I have like my sewing. I used to make dresses, and
I remember I was not with the initial phase, but I remember there were years when you would make more clothes.
I made maternity clothes because I didn't like, none of the maternity clothes were fun and cute. So I made a bunch of maternity clothes when I was pregnant with Elliot. But yeah, I used to sew every night. Like I was making all kinds of stuff. I had patterns. I wouldn't say I was a great seamstress. I was pretty good at making dresses. Pants were a goddamn nightmare. So I was not good at that.
Cool pants, those cool wrappy.
Oh yeah, the wrappy pants. Somebody told me they looked like pajamas once after a show, and I got really embarrassed, and I never wore them again.
No, I was wondering what happened to those.
I got embarrassed, and I stopped wearing them.
Well, you don't have to tell me who said that.
I don't remember who it was. It was after the 1 Minute Play Fest. It was some actor in a different block that wasn't our block. And
well, they didn't look like pajamas to me, and they were so cute. And they were like,
they were wrap pants,
and then she like wrapped them up, and like they looked so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I want some.
All right, well, maybe I'll make you some. They were really easy to make. That's why I liked them, because I could make a bunch of them really quickly. Also, I was into making beaded necklaces for a while. Yeah, I got really into all kinds of crafts in between. When I like left my career teaching editing for a while, I kind of, and editing. I never really stopped editing. I took on freelance jobs the whole time I had kids, but for the most part, I really like took a step back from my career. And then I went into this like overdrive of like, well, I'm just a stay-at-home mom now. So, but I need to be creative. So I was like trying every craft I could think of. And I was like, I'm going to start an Etsy store. It was like, Sarah, I don't know if you know this about me, but I get obsessed with things. Like I like a thing.
I didn't know.
And I latch onto it, and I'll make it my personality for a while. And crafting was that for a little while. And so I have a very large graveyard of craft hobbies. So,
I guess I can go next. I guess these don't really count as hobbies because they were stuff I did in high school, like French horn and color guard.
That color guard, man. That is a lot of work. That is a lot of work. Yeah. That is no joke.
Also baking. I was into baking for a bit, and I baked for my coworkers and like as like gifts and stuff. But then when I gave up sugar, I was unwilling to bake anymore because I was like, it will smell delicious and I can't eat it.
What if you bake without sugar though?
It's nasty.
Oh, because I would eat something that you baked.
We've tried a few times. Like my mom and I and Sam and I have tried to bake things with fake sugar, and it's just like, wow.
We're really into meat pies right now. Like, I don't make the crust myself, but they make this delicious crust at the DeKalb Farmers Market, and we don't eat meat, so it's like fake meat. It's like Beyond Meat. But like we've been watching The Witcher on the weekends and with my sister and making these like rustic pies with like potatoes and like peas and like Beyond Meat and like it's good stuff.
Also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Also, I guess video games. I used to be more into those.
Nice. I'm gonna get you back into those video games with that VR headset, Sarah.
And I guess there's might be one more.
You and Sam play video games together though, right?
We did when we had a Wii U. Well, it's my brother's Wii U. Sam thinks he might get us a Nintendo Switch.
Fun. My kids love the Nintendo Switch.
I think,
and you can play it on TV.
That's true. Yeah, I think the last hobby I'll mention is Sudoku.
Oh, fancy.
Not really a hot hobby, just something I used to do obsessively, and then I finished a bunch of books, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm bored.
You're like, I've purged myself of the need to do this.
Yes, basically.
Do you have any hobbies in your hobby graveyard, Brandon?
You know, see, now I'm the one that's put on the spot. I've been trying to think. I mean, there's certain things. Not
everyone has a hobby graveyard. Some people follow through.
I have some. Well, depending on what I do, I've got things like, I used to play tennis, so I've got tennis racket and things like that. Some sports. We've got our bikes in the garage that have been sitting there forever.
Biking was my personality for a while, for sure.
And love doing that. But then it's like I did used to do a lot of painting, and had a lot of those things that I'd created, and it was just something that I had worked on, but then just didn't, just kind of.
But you're back to making.
You're doing paper crafts.
I'm back to making, which the reason I like doing that is I always found that whatever was in my head never really made it to the hand, to the brush, to the, and I go, okay, that kind of looks good, look at it now, but it just, being a sort of perfectionist or coming out, I'm like, it's not what's in my head, so it just doesn't look good. So I like what I do now, sort of with the paper crafts, because I can create it first, and then it really kind of looks like what was in my head.
That's awesome.
We have different, sewing is something I really, that I was, good at doing.
Brandon, we could have a sewing night.
Long time.
We could have a sewing night.
It's like I've forgotten half of the stitches that I'm like, wait a minute, what do I? What's this?
Oh, I did everything on the machine. No,
I did this machine.
Yeah, I just turned the dial.
But then I'm like,
I turned the dial.
I think this is it. What's the zigzag one? There we go. This is and we've got a serger and everything, and gotten that for Dan.
Oh, I was quilting.
We've got some
I was making
that we
quilts.
need to get done.
Yeah,
that are still sitting there.
Yeah,
and little and then things like I love board games. I tell people all the time, I'm like, being an only child, not told Danny this, and it's like, I played board games by myself, and he's like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I would be all three characters and play Monopoly, or I'd play this. And
oh my gosh,
I'd play Clue by myself, and it would be like, hello, I'm looking at this card and these cards, and I know, but it's just, I love playing board games, and it was just never having.
I feel like it'd be hard to play Clue by yourself because. Like
you look at the cards,
there's a lot of double crossing.
Exactly. I double cross myself all the time.
Young Brandon,
I probably have split personalities, is what it is.
I'm just imagining you putting on different hats and wigs for each character that you're.
And now I do theater. How did
that happen?
So yeah, just different things of getting involved with, but I don't. And I guess part of the other one, I think a little bit, and I thought about, I'm like, well, religion in a way, because I did. For a while, it's like, I like Buddhism and studying that.
Oh, Buddhism. I forgot to mention that. I was
Sarah, I remember when you were into Buddhism.
All of these different things are like, let's look at tarot and this metaphysical
tarot.
stuff and crystals. I've got crystals.
Same, Brandon. These are all in my hobby graveyard.
they're all in the graveyard, but it's like,
well, actually,
sometimes
my
I
crystals,
look at them and I'm like, pull them out.
I've just got my crystals all over the place in my bedroom. They're everywhere. I like to create a Zen space,
And I have them all labeled and in like a little case and really nice, but then I never pull them out to really use them. But it's like, I like getting those and then going to the store.
God, getting a shiny new crystal from the metaphysical store, it feels so good. It's like, this crystal is going to change my life. I'm going to write that screenplay because I bought this crystal. Finally.
Like, I feel the energy.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of one. So those are my hobbies,
I think that, different spiritual paths, it's like we're all trying to look for a way to to make sense of things, or to feel like there's some kind of
there's
master
more to
plan.
What's going on now. There's got to be more, right?
There's more, or someone's looking out for, the world is looking out for me in some way that I can't see, or I'm a bigger part. I'm a part of something that's bigger. Sarah's like, nope, I'm a speck of dust on a rock, and I don't care. But I'm always looking for that stuff, Like, I've found my own things that make sense to me spiritually and that feel true, and that's kind of what I look to, is like what feels true or right in my heart, and I stick with those. And it, I feel like I do need a little bit of something, especially when I'm going through a dark time. I need a little something to comfort me beyond myself. Besides me and Adam Driver, of course. Adam Driver movies.
I take drugs.
Good Lord. All right, are you guys ready to talk more about some Tammy Faye? Let's talk about Tammy Faye and her path to a religion. I don't know. She sort of was on the path at the beginning of the movie, and we took many paths, many storied, winding paths to get where she ended up. So let's just get right into talking about Tammy Faye.
The house is a mess, Jack. The kids are a mess, Jack. You're a mess, Jack.
You have been a total bitch ever since you came to New York.
You seem sort of distant.
Let's just do it, huh?
You look stupid and rich. Stupid and rich.
Fascist.
All right, let's get into it.
My favorite thing about this movie is the story of a relationship. And how you can like meet someone and totally be head over heels for them and think like they are just the best thing ever. And by the way, this is not from experience. This is just like
what you saw in the movie.
Relationship.
Yeah.
A relationship over a period of like decades, like how you can go through different cycles and totally hurt each other in just like enough ways that it breaks it. Like no matter how strong of a bond you have, if you hurt the other person in just the right way or the wrong way, it just destroys it. And it was just very sad for me to see how their relationship kind of evolved and fall
apart. Yeah.
It just was very sad.
What do you think caused them to come apart? Like, what was it that caused them to come apart, you think? I know there were a lot of little events, but like, what was the thing that pulled them apart, you think?
Fame and money. It often does pull people apart, just because of people have different reactions to that stuff. And also he probably was gay or bi and wasn't allowed to express
I think him not being allowed to be himself was a big problem as well, for sure. Because Tammy wanted somebody who found her attractive. And also I do think that women in general, like I think women often feel worried after having children and their bodies change, and we saw her body changing in the film, that they won't be and they discussed this. Her mother said it's your job as the woman to make yourself presentable and attractive to your husband. And so there's all this pressure on the woman to continue to be exactly how she was before she had kids. And so I think there was some of that as well, where she's like, I've had, now that I'm, why don't you want me anymore? But what she didn't see was that there was something deeper going on. I definitely think that was part of it. Like it led to her seeking that from another man. And
by the way, they cast the perfect person in that role.
Who the fuck was that? He had the most atrocious wig.
He looked like Chris Evans.
Are you serious, Sarah?
He did.
I wouldn't even put him. I wouldn't even call him Dollar Tree Chris Evans. Like he was like
I thought he was Chris Evans.
It was like when what's that catalog Wish if you ordered Chris Evans from Wish, that would be who you would get.
No, he was just like him.
No, he did not. His wig was unforgivable. That wig belongs in The Last Duel, Sarah.
It was a wig. It was a wig.
They took that wig from Ridley Scott's set and they
put
brought
it on
right
Chris Evans. I thought it was Chris Evans in a wig.
Wish Chris Evans. That's what that was. Oh my gosh, he was a good actor. That wig. I was so distracted.
It was Gary, right?
He was saying
Gary.
all the right
yes,
things.
Gary, yeah.
He was saying all the right things.
Well, I think he really did care about her. It's too bad. Wouldn't it be nice if they could have just stayed married and be BFFs, and then she could have Gary on the side, and he could have his own wing, and then Jim could have had his guy. I don't remember his name, but he was like the production coordinator like he could have had his guy, and they could have just had a whole happy family. They had enough room at the compound for everybody to live copacetic. That's the world that I'd like to see.
That's his hair, though. I don't think it's a wig.
Is it? It looked like a wig to me.
He's got long hair.
What the hell is that guy's name? What else has he been in?
What's his name?
Mark Waystratch.
Okay,
but it's like another Johnny Christ.
Ooh.
Just my luck. Like, I don't recognize.
I mean, I recognize the developer who, the one who was building the theme park. That guy was on the Parenthood TV show, so I recognized him.
I
recognize the guy playing Jerry Falwell. He's a very big actor.
Oh yeah, that scene, the theme park one was a very telling scene of like, why does the world need this theme park? Like, why do you need this person to give you this money to make this theme? What are you?
Well, because they want the Christian version of Disneyland.
Which existed.
But again, what does it add?
Which did exist, but
I guess what I'm saying is, it felt like let's make as much money as humanly possible and do whatever we can to do that, but like the world doesn't need that theme park.
I think there's this idea that that in some parts of this community, that if it is not based in Christ, then it's unholy and bad. And so maybe going to Disney World is not, for some of those families, feels sinful and not safe and not pure. Whereas if you go to Jesus World, I don't know. It's also
Disney
part of the
World is
indoctrination.
The most Jesus-y place ever.
To us, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I'm about to tell a story, and this may. I hope this does not offend people, but this is honestly my honest experience. Again, I did not grow up religious. Okay, I didn't. So when I read a religious text, I don't get like. It doesn't touch me deeply, okay? I tried to read the Bible. I got to the beget chapter. I couldn't make it any further than that. It was just too much. I just couldn't. And I appreciate that for some people that really does hit them really deeply in the soul. That's wonderful. Now, I'm getting to my point. I don't want to bring this back to Star Wars, but I'm going to. I love Star Wars, okay? I don't just love it. I'm obsessed with it. And I also feel like, to me, a lot of the best parts about Star Wars are also life lessons about perseverance and love triumphing over fear and the need for power and all these other things, all these big ticket philosophical ideas, right? And at one time I was reading a Star Wars book to my child. I don't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Lucas. But I was reading a book, and I was taught, and it's one of those books where they tell you about all the characters and you're pointing out who they are, and it talks about the Force, and I'm explaining all of this to my son, my little toddler son sitting in my lap, and I suddenly had a moment where I was like, this must be what it feels like for people to sit down and talk to their children about Jesus. And I'm not trying to say that Star Wars is my religion. I'm just saying that it brings me so much joy and comfort that for me, sharing that with my children is is the best way I can compare what it feels like to someone who religion brings them that. It brings them joy and comfort, and they want nothing more than for their children to grow up like feeling safe because it's there, right? And to me, because the characters in the Bible are like characters to me, then when I read about Star Wars, it's very similar to me, in my opinion. And I know that other people don't feel that might see that as blasphemy, but I'm sorry. This is my worldview.
Adorable. I think that's great.
So
That's
to bring it back to the theme park, I would imagine that for people who feel that way about religion, that taking your children to a theme park that's based in your religion would feel very fun and safe and exciting and like something you feel good about sharing with your children, rather than perhaps the blasphemous Harry Potter ride. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you go down Splash Mountain instead of Splash Mountain. It's the Ark that you're
isn't
riding.
Harry Potter in Universal?
True. I'm just kind of lumping them all together. But Sarah's like, that's not where it is in the park. Still waiting on the day that you and I go to Star Disneyland together, by the way, Sarah.
Disneyland or Disney World?
Disney World.
Yes.
It's too far to go to Disneyland.
Yes. We have to go.
But also, you would get annoyed with me and my children walking around Disney World all day. You definitely would.
That's what I love. That's what I want. That's my deepest desire is to go to Disney World with you and your family.
Well, the moment my children are vaccinated, we're already trying to figure out when we can go to that Star Wars theme park. So,
is it a whole theme park, or is it a section of?
That Galaxy's Edge is an entire section of Disney. When I tell you guys, when I finally, I don't want to bring this back to Star Wars, but here we are. If I go to Galaxy's Edge, you guys, I'm never coming back. Like you're gonna have to forward my mail. I'm never coming back.
No, she's at Galaxy's Edge. We can't reach her.
She thinks she thinks she's part of the resistance now. Anyway, okay. Anything else to say? Oh, I did have one more thing I wanted to talk about that's sort of tangential to the movie. But is there anything you guys else you wanted to talk about the Eyes of Tammy Faye? Or maybe like what we're left with at the end of this movie. Where does this movie leave us? I was trying to kind of puzzle that out at the end. Of course, Tammy Faye, Jim is in prison. Tammy takes this gig singing at a sort of religious convention. Everybody's really suspicious of her at first. They don't seem like they're too into it. And then Tammy goes into this sort of fantasy world where she's imagining this choir behind her, and then suddenly people are feeling the music, and in a way it feels kind of sad because she's obviously living in this fantasy world, but also people are clearly moved by it. And so she's bringing joy to those people in the audience. Anyway, I don't know how you felt. Like, what did that leave you with as a sort of a last image or a last scene in this film?
That left me with feeling sorry for her, the character at least, especially because of what had happened in the other scenes where her trying to take terrible ideas to a
the pitch session.
The pitch session.
Oh God! Not only
like
was that
from
awkward,
the 60s.
but very relatable to me. It's like that's me. That was the one time I went to a company and tried to pitch a sitcom idea. I felt that it was that uncomfortable for me.
It's like, oh, I've got this. No, okay, sure. What do you have next? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I've got
my favorite
else.
is when they're like, "We love that idea." But what about this? And then they completely they're like, your idea, but not that. Like, they're like, we love this idea, but what if this, and this? And it's like, okay, what you described is a different show that you seem to be writing. Huh?
You've just described Parenthood.
Or or something else that's not the show that I brought in. I was like, great. So you want this show, but not. Got it. Anyway, what do you feel? So Sarah felt like she felt sorry for Tammy. Brandon, do you have anything maybe that sums up how you feel?
I mean, I felt like it was just like a tragic character, but also going, this is sort of based, on real life. Obviously there's some fantasy because it's a, documentary movie, but you almost felt very sad of like, she tried to be a good person at the beginning, got swept up in everything, and then almost led astray. But you could still see that she just wasn't a bad person, an evil person just taking money, that she really wanted to do good. just on the
she
wrong
like literally
path to
didn't
do good.
understand.
And then to try to come back, it's like, it was almost like, I just felt almost bad for her going, now I know more, at least a little bit more about Tammy Faye. I don't see her as just this crazy whacked out person that they talk about, but at least a real person. And it just felt kind of sad, because it's also like she did support people. She did want to be a good person. And it's almost like that religion in itself destroyed her, what she was trying to do. I mean, you brought up earlier where, she talked to God. And then at one point she said, right? Was it where she couldn't hear him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I couldn't hear God anymore. Yeah.
Like, and it was like for the longest time she heard God doing it. And then at her lowest point, it was almost like, well, where's God? Like he left me from what I'm doing. So I must be doing something wrong. What's really going on? And then she had her, I think that's when she had her overdose, or really kind of fell into
and
that
also
depression.
that was something else. She didn't seem to understand the drugs she was taking and the amount was wrong. I feel like she
didn't know they were addictive.
She was naive all the way through.
Naive
about,
for sure.
Like, everything. Yeah.
But I think you guys are giving her a little more credit than I'm going to give her. I'm going to say that Tammy Faye did want to do good, but also as long as it did good for Tammy. I really feel like from the very beginning, you could see that she had a plan and she was going to be a star. Like, she wanted that. And every choice she made was to lead to that. So I think it's fair, like totally fair that that's what your reading of it is. But I saw a person who was bound to corrupt this from the beginning. Like, she had a singular vision of what she wanted, and she was going to do whatever she needed to get it. And I think that she tried to make herself feel better by saying that, well, I did all this good, so it kind of cancels out the bad, So I don't think she's quite that innocent, but I do also think she was naive about a lot of things.
I think probably in the real world, she knew what she was doing and stuff, but I feel like in the movie they didn't communicate that effectively.
Okay.
Like I feel like they didn't. I feel like they gave her the benefit of the doubt. The film was saying this is a hapless woman who just
that's not what I read.
Her way into this situation.
That's not what I read. I saw her taking the reins and making choices about what programming was going to go on. I saw her, seeing that things were going weird with the money and choosing to look the other way. I think she knew that there was something up and she chose to look the other way. Also, I don't know how you could accumulate that much wealth and not feel like there's something fishy about it. But
no, I mean, I'm just saying,
and it's fine that that's how you guys read it. I'm just saying, I can't give her that much of a pass, even as a movie character. But ultimately, I think I left feeling that Tammy Faye was a lot braver than I thought, and I found myself really kind of liking her by the end and rooting for her, even despite her faults. Okay. So I guess we should do the Bechdel test. I'll be honest, I didn't pay that much attention to this because I was so swept up in the movie. Did you, Sarah? Let's see how this plays out. I'm sure we'll figure it out.
She talked to her mom. Yeah.
You're right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So the Bechdel test. Is there more than one female character in this movie?
Yes.
Yes. Do they have names?
Yes.
Do they talk to each other?
Yes.
Do they talk about something other than a man?
Yes.
I think so, because they talked about money and the coat and all that. This is not a movie that is... Yes. This is not a movie that's heavy on female relationships, but the mother and daughter relationship was significant. So I'll give it something there. I can't really think of too many other women that were in the movie, though. I feel like most of the characters
weren't any male relationships. I mean, there were like male work things, but they didn't have long conversations. It was just like boom, 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 boom. The main relationship was between Tammy Faye and Jim.
And Jim, that's true, and her and her mother. So I guess I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go on that. It did remind me a bit of Tonya Harding's relationship with her mother in the Tonya Harding movie as well. Welcome to Plug It Up. This is the part of the show where we talk about some cool things that we're working on and some cool things that our guests are working on and or doing. Not in the hobby graveyard, or maybe resurrected from the hobby graveyard. I don't know. Brandon, do you have something that you would like to plug?
Yes. Speaking of the hobby graveyard, but what's been resurrected, I have my website of some of the art that I've been working on, sort of my papercraft art. It's aboyandhisbird.com.
Oh, it's
And
so
anyone,
cute.
anyone that knows me, it's part of it is because Dudley, our blue and gold macaw, loves to play with paper as well. And I, try to give him some stuff to tear up while I'm working on
They
things.
love to
Eventually, I'm
tear.
going to have some art, but he likes to just grab something and just throw it. So eventually, but I started when we were doing some work with Alice in Wonderland when I was doing that show, and just some inspiration. And I have most of the work I do is on the Cricut that I've gotten from my mother-in-law. And like I said, what I love about it is I can create everything on the computer, and then when I cut it out and put it all together, it comes together like it was in my mind. And sometimes usually a little bit better, a little bit different, but I like that. And really, it's just kind of fun and whimsical, different things to look at. So, check it out. Hopefully, eventually, I'd like to at least display it somewhere.
So, are you taking commissions, or like if somebody went to the site and they were like, "Will you make me a thing?" Like you take.
Yeah, if they really like it, and they're like, the nice thing about it is I can create sort of similar to what's on there, but if they want some different colors or want something different, or if somebody has a different idea of what they're looking for, I've got I sort of do the Alice in Wonderland fantastical things. But
commission you to make a whimsical Adam Driver papercraft is what you're saying.
I could. It's kind of like a
Sarah's like, stop
collage versus
Adam and Andy, both Adam and Andy. I feel like that would be all right.
I'll figure out something and put that in there, and I just want to put that out there to the world and just see what comes back. But I put some fun and joy out into the world, because we need it, and just
for sure
see what happens. But aboyandhisbird.com. And
I like it inside your head. It's a very sweet and fun and whimsical place, and so everybody go check that out.
Place.
Yeah, everybody go check it out. Brandon's work is really beautiful. You're so multi-talented. Brandon. Did you also want to talk about the play? Because by the time this comes out, that your play will be close to coming out.
Yes, Tuna Christmas at Onstage Atlanta. By then, or by the time this has come out, we've gotten through all of our rehearsals, and hopefully I've remembered all my lines, since
it went
it's
great.
Just 2 people, or it went great whenever this is. It went awesome, amazing. I loved it. Hopefully you've come out and seen it.
Well, it'll be. I think the show will be opening shortly after this episode comes out, because you said it opens after Thanksgiving, right?
After Thanksgiving, yeah. So we'll come check it out. I'd love for you to come out and see it. It's a good Christmas show. It's real sweet as well. Not only is it just kind of funny that we're playing all these characters, but it does have a story that runs through it. There's even times, right, that I've brought myself almost close to tears with a couple of the scenes, because they're just really sweet. And so it's a challenge. It's been a challenge, but I think it's worth it, and it's going to be fun.
So Tuna Christmas at Onstage Atlanta, opening right after Thanksgiving. So check that out. Sarah, would you like to plug something? Would you got something?
Yes, sir. Check out my Instagram account, hedgehodges_bodpos, HEDGEHODGES_BODPOS. It is about me and my story of going from thin and ashamed to fat and ashamed to fat and thriving.
Love it. Love it.
And hair, not hair. I keep saying hair because hair and makeup should go together, but it's not hair.
Well,
it's just
I think you're underestimating your hair tremendously.
Makeup and clothes. My hair tip. This is my hair tip. I wash my hair. I condition my hair.
Great.
I put leave-in conditioner. I blow dry my bangs. I let the rest of my hair air dry. That is my tip. That's everything I do with my hair.
And that's for free. You didn't even have to subscribe to get or follow to get that.
You will have to follow for everything else.
Everything else.
Nothing else will be give them for free.
Your eyes, the way that you do all of your eyes, I love.
Yeah.
I love all of your different versions of doing your eyes and the colors. It's
Sarah's makeup is amazing, and you're amazing, and I love you, and I love reading your story. I think we've all. I think most of us.
Everyone has fucked up relationships with their body and food and that kind of stuff.
And learning to, like, as you grow older, like learning to love and accept yourself and like see how other people see you, like how beautiful you are and other people see that. And it's just teaching ourselves to see that thing that everybody else already knew. Cause like, I mean, you're gorgeous and beautiful, and I always knew that. And so I'm glad that you
You're
do
gorgeous
too.
and beautiful too.
Oh, thank you.
So are you, Brandon.
Well, Sarah, I mean, both of you, but Sarah, when I first met you too, I was like, she's got it together. I need to know who this person is, and I want to work with her and do things with her. And then it's so interesting to become your friend and hear about your story and go, really? Wow. I didn't, think that at all. To me, you came across as this strong, amazing woman. I was like, oh, I need to know who this is.
Well, at that point, I had reached a good point. Not completely. I mean, it took a few years before I was like, fat is okay. Like I was still at that point when you met me. I was like, I'm great, but I'm fat. So yeah, so.
But
it's a journey where we've all had to learn. I think
But you had this confidence about you that just. It was easy, but it was like,
well, you were really easy to work with. Like how Brandon and I met. I was directing him and a mutual friend, or would become our friend Tanner in a showcase. I think that's how we met, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm so glad that you're still in my life. And
you had just directed Shape of Things, I think.
That's
right.
Was
it?
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, she is an amazing director. I need to know.
It's true.
And it was
that's
just
a fact.
Because I saw the show and then she was standing there at the end, and I had just moved to Atlanta, and I remember leaving and it, and I was like with Danny, and I was like, oh, she's the director. I've got to, I was like, hi, you did such a great job.
Oh my
and then
God.
I was like, so excited. So
That's
excited.
so
And then I got to work with her, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. And then as a director, got to work with her, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, being directed by Sarah is a joy. It's a great experience.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
But it was fun. I still remember that. You were standing by the door, and I was like, oh, I've got to go talk to her. Hi.
You're celebrity, Sarah.
Oh my
gosh.
God.
You're so cool. You did such a good job. Because it was such a good show, too. I was like, you did such a good job.
Too. I mean, it was a fun show. Yeah, no. And I was really impressed with you as well. And I remember you gave me for my birthday, which was soon after that, maybe like 3 months after or something like that. And speaking of Buddhism, like you gave me a couple of books on Buddhism, and I read those, and they had little words of wisdom for each day. And you also gave me a playwriting book that I read, and I still like refer to, and like they were just such great gifts. And I was like, wow, this guy is like.
One thing I'll say about Brandon too is that Brandon is very considerate and will give fun little gifts if you're in a show with him. Like I remember you gave me these fun magnets when we did a show. They were like these like sort of irreverent, those like 1950s illustrations with the irreverent quotes on them, and they're all over my fridge, and I love them. And we had to move them to the office because my kids started to figure out that they
irreverent.
They were like, what's this about? But Brandon is so always, it's like, it's just not a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people take the time to think about like, ooh, this is a little gift, but it'll make somebody happy. And it's like, you can tell that you think about people's personalities, and that's just, it's really sweet.
Very thoughtful.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to plug.
What about you? What are you going to
plug?
Plug us.
I'm going to plug things that we did together. We did a sketch comedy web show that we shot virtually called the Critical Crop Top Sketch Comedy Web Show. So you can find out more about that at Critical Crop Top, or Critical Crop Top on YouTube, where you can watch all those episodes. We also worked on The Parts That Stay Together, all three of us, which I didn't talk about in the last episode. I think the screening would have passed by now, but at the time this comes out, we had a screening at the Atlanta Comedy Film Festival. There's another screening coming up that I don't know when it is, but that is another showcase. But all that stuff you can find about at Critical Crop Top. Also, Sarah and I do another podcast called the Adam and Andy Podcast, where we talk about the filmographies of Adam Driver and Andy Samberg, which was a spinoff of this podcast.
They just go hand in hand.
Like PB&J, if you will. So that's the Adam and Andy Podcast. You can find it on all the things, or Facebook and Instagram at Adam and Andy Podcast, or on Twitter at Adam Andy Pod. It gets real crazy on the Twitter. It's a real fun place to be.
It does. I was summoned to the Twitter today multiple times.
I feel, yes, you've been caught in a thread of us, everybody trying to help me not get spoiled by The Last Duel. I was like, I think I'm going to have to leave Twitter for a couple of days. Obviously, I didn't. But yeah, the Adam and Andy Twitter is a fun place to be. But also, you could join us on the Twitter for this podcast and tell us what you thought about the Eyes of Tammy Faye. We're at Fem Mistake Pod on Twitter, and we're on Twitter and Instagram at Feminine Mistake Pod. So you can come and tell us what you thought of the Eyes of Tammy Faye. What did you think about Jim and Tammy? What did you think? What did the film leave you with? Tell us all about that. Brandon, it's been so much fun to have you on the show.
It's so great to have you.
Thank you. It's been fun as always. I love it. I love hanging out with y'all.
I know. I just love this. I feel like we need to do this every year. I don't know what quirky character movie we'll pick next. But now that we've gotten you out of the witch box, because of course we had you on only doing witch movies before, not on purpose. It was just like, Brandon's coming on. Let's talk about witches again. But yeah, it's always fun having you on the show. You always bring so much insight to what we're talking about. So thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And it's been really fun talking about the Eyes of Tammy Faye. And I'm gonna wrap up my cup of tea, and I'm gonna crawl into bed. So thanks, listeners. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks on our next episode. I don't know what it's gonna be about. We'll find out.